I'm never gonna wait another day in my life. It's time for me to do some power tripping and something something. I don't know. I don't remember how the rest of that Monster Magnet song goes. Hey, it's your good friend, it's your pal, it's your compadre. It's TC, everybody. How you doing? Welcome to what is this? Rock This Town Live. That's right. It is. It is. It is. We are here every Monday through Friday, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. That is 7 Central. That is 6 on the Mountain Time Zone. 5. That would be on the Pacific side of the world. Tsunami? What's tsunami? No, there's no tsunami. Well, no, never mind. Anyway, so good. There was no tsunami. Very cool. Jen and I stayed up watching that. Yeah, that ended up being nothing. So, anyway. Whatever. It's good it was nothing, but still, it was just like, oh wow, waves. We're gonna get to see waves. It'd be awesome. And no, never mind. So, anyways, but yeah, it is. What is it? July 30th, 2025. And what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about the Ozzy funeral today that happened in Birmingham, England. And then what else are we talking about? We're talking about my friends in the Foo Fighters. That's right. They have a new drummer. Just got announced maybe less than an hour ago. Nobody that you're going to probably know, but we'll talk about it nevertheless. Also, Iron Maiden. We'll talk a little Iron Maiden. I'm going to do my top 5, actually top 6 Ozzy records of all time, including Black Sabbath. I do have one Black Sabbath record in there, so, it is what it is. I realize I'm a child of the 80s, so Black Sabbath was just before my time, and unfortunately that flat production of the 70s and stuff just wasn't my cup of tea in some ways. So, but anyways, we'll talk about that. And just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. I want to mention one thing because Jen was giving me a hard time here about an hour or 2 ago. She says, "Hey, buddy, how's that Alice in Chains tripod record working out for you?" Because I have been predicting all year that is going to get announced and it is going to be released this year. That is a record that a lot of collectors want. It's probably a $500, $600 record, even more if you want a nice copy of the original. And it's been bootlegged. There's all these quote unquote European unofficial copies. All that means is just a fake record. It's just burned from a CD, and they try to replicate the artwork on the vinyl as much as they can. It's crap. I mean, it's complete crap. But I realize sometimes it can be a filler for you if you're waiting for tripod. And I still stand by that, Jen. I'm throwing the gauntlet down. I am going all in even more that Alice in Chains tripod will be announced and it will be released this year. How Alice in Chains actually sold their catalog a number of years ago. So I know that the people who bought their catalog, one of these companies like Primary Wave or something, they're going to want a return on investment. And that's definitely a way to get a return on investment. So now, I did a little research. So when Jar of Flies was announced last year, I think it was actually announced on the day of release from back in 1994. So in 2024, then they went back 30 years. It was announced the same day. Could that happen again this year? Maybe. Dirt, when that was announced in 2022, that was actually 6 weeks of a lead time, and then it was out. So it was just like boom, like that. October 31st is when was when Tripod, Alice in Chains self-titled, with the dog on Champion, if you know Parks and Rec. I don't think it was Champion, but still, I'm going to make that reference there. So the Tripod record was released October 31st, 1995. So, and that is a Friday this year. So I predict in the next 6 to 8 weeks, we will get an announcement that Tripod is being released on October 31st, 2025. So we got that going for us, which is nice. All right. Whenever I start the show, I love reliving the past. Let me start by reliving the past with this poster. Obviously, we're honoring Ozzy this week and last week, and obviously his funeral today. I'll talk about that in just a second. This is a hell of a lineup, in my humble opinion. So what actually happened is that Lita Ford was on the bill as well. Now you're wondering, oh, well, if Lita Ford and Anthrax were opening for Ozzy back on December 30th, 1988 in Long Beach, no doubt Ozzy and Lita probably did Close My Eyes Forever. They actually did 2 shows. in Long Beach Arena. No, they didn't. No dice. There was not two shows, and well, I'm sorry, there was not a performance of "Close My Eyes Forever." So Lita just did her stuff, and then Ozzy came out and did his stuff. So yeah, it was a lost opportunity that never happened. And Lita Ford actually confirmed that last week. I heard in an interview with Eddie Trunk that she said that her and Ozzy had never performed that song live, regretfully. So, but anyways, I thought that was a great set list. The Ozzy set list from back on that day, what did he do? He did 16 songs. I don't know. Flying High Again, Mr. Crowley, nice. Shot in the Dark, Sweet Leaf, War Pigs, Miracle Man, great song. Did he do Crazy Babies? He did not do Crazy Babies from No Rest for the Wicked. Let's see. Iron Man, he did Crazy Train, Bark at the Moon, Paranoid. Now, like I said, I looked it up. Anthrax was also on the bill, of course, and their set list was actually pretty cool. They got to do 10 songs, not too shabby. Be All End All, Madhouse, I Am the Law, Indians, Antisocial, I'm the Man had been released by that time, so they did I'm the Man. And then Lita, of course, did a couple of her songs. I think she ended up doing 7 songs on that show. So there you go. Cool. All right, cool. I'm going to say hello, see if anybody's hanging out with it. Hey, Beat After Beat, good to see you. Thanks for hanging out again. Billy Johns, all right. So the re-release of Unplugged, you know when that's going to happen? That's going to happen in 2026. I guarantee it. 2026, we'll get the re-release of Alice in Chains Unplugged. So we're going to have to wait another year for that one. So there you go. Not too shabby. All right, let's keep moving on. Ozzy, obviously, his funeral was today. Now, this explains why Pantera and Zakk Wylde, obviously playing in Pantera right now. Pantera last week announced that they were rescheduling some dates to clear basically a week of time for Zakk Wylde and the band to mourn. Well, obviously, I'm guessing Zakk Wylde was in Birmingham today for the funeral of Ozzy Osbourne. This is a little snap of when they made it to the Black Sabbath bench on Broad Street in Birmingham, and thousands lined the streets for the funeral procession. And yeah, a great photo there in the background there. Birmingham Will Always Love You. And then you see Sharon in the foreground with Jack with the short hair standing next to his mother. And then I think that's Kelly there. And I'm not sure of the other guy. I'm guessing that could be potentially another son from Ozzy's previous marriage. So there you go. I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm doing this new show, Billy. I appreciate you hanging out and checking out the show. So yeah, we're just kicking it, keeping it real. So we're doing this every Monday through Friday, starting at 8 p.m. So there you go. So rest in peace to Ozzy. Now there's rumors that he's going to be buried in the garden of his home. That's what kind of he wanted. So probably under a tree. So there you go. Not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. There you go. All right, cool. Foo Fighters have a new drummer. It got announced just less than an hour ago. It was reported by the Hollywood Reporter. And his name is, I think it's Island. Maybe it's Island Rubin. I'm going to go with Island. Kind of an I-L-A-N. Island Rubin. He's going to replace Josh Freese, who obviously did the last tour with the Foo Fighters before Dave had to go to the mattresses, so to speak. No pun intended there, because of the affair and the extramarital child that occurred. But Foo Fighters are starting to reboot now. And even though Josh Freese is no longer the band, boom, the Foo Fighters will have a new drummer. So I wanted to feature this photo, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the new drummer. So the new drummer apparently is on tour, or will be touring through the end of the year with 9 Inch Nails. He's also played with Danny Elfman. Very cool. And then also Angels and Airwaves, which is Tom DeLonge of Blink-182's kind of side project that is actually really, really good. In some ways, I almost prefer Angels and Airwaves over Blink-182, if you ask me. Now, what's even more interesting, here's the twist. Josh Freese apparently will be going back to 9 Inch Nails after playing with them for a number of years in the early 2000s. So there you go. Basically, the Foo Fighters and 9 Inch Nails are swapping their drummers. So go figure. Now, this photo was taken in 2008 when the Foo Fighters played Wembley Stadium. That's obviously John Paul Jones of Led Zeppelin, Taylor Hawkins, the late Taylor Hawkins, Jimmy Page, and Dave Grohl. Now, Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones came out for a couple of songs, and then Dave Grohl and Taylor stayed on stage and they did some Led Zeppelin stuff, like 2 Led Zeppelin songs, I think it was, at this Foo Fighters Live at Wembley. Great show. Now, I always thought, and maybe Dave and Taylor were being respectful to Robert Plant, but obviously a Led Zeppelin tour has never materialized. I know that that's something Jimmy Page wanted to do. Robert Plant has never wanted to do that. So as a result, in hindsight, 17 years ago when this happened, I think the Foo Fighters should have taken a year break, and those 4 guys should have gone out and played Led Zeppelin. They could have gone out as, whatever, Page, Paul, John Paul, I guess it'd been Jones. So what am I trying to say here? Page, Jones, Grohl, and Hawkins. They could have come up with some sort of name there. There's no vowels in there, but you could have come up with some sort of name for it. I think that would have been cool. I think that they could have done, arenas. They might have done stadiums if they were doing all Led Zeppelin, because the Foos were super hot then. And obviously Led Zeppelin has always been a tremendous draw back in the day and on rock radio, a staple of classic rock radio. Have they been overplayed on classic rock radio? You're darn tootin'. Led Zeppelin has been overplayed, but that still doesn't mean that they're not a great band. So I think that would have been fantastic. Obviously, that's never going to happen now. Taylor Hawkins is gone, and Jimmy Page and John Paul are 17 years older and nearing 80 years old. So it's just never going to happen. But it would have been fantastic. But for one night at Wembley, we did get a couple of songs out of those 4, and it was fantastic. Anybody a fan of Maiden here? Because Maiden, I've never seen Maiden live, but I respect Maiden. Maiden's like one of those bands that never got radio airplay. And still to this day, I swear, everybody talks about Metallica never got radio airplay back in the day, except for like on, like mandatory Metallica at like midnight or something. It might appear. And then nowadays, Metallica is mainstream. Iron Maiden never went mainstream, hence why they're not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I suppose. But I dig Iron Maiden, and they're a huge band worldwide. So the fact that they've, if you hear a song on the radio, it's Run to the Hills, maybe Wasted Years if you're lucky, but nothing else, I swear. And but yeah, anyways, I digress there. So Bruce Dickinson and Maiden have kind of come out and said, they would prefer people not to film their shows anymore. Ghost has done this, but Ghost is actually locking up your phone. And Ghost says this is one of the best things they ever did, is taking the phones out of people's hands. And I certainly understand it. As a fan watching a show, I don't want to see somebody holding up their phone in front of me. Now, I'm a tall guy. I'm like 6'3", so that helps, But for Jen, if somebody's in front of her holding up a phone, you're trying to see through the crowd. It's just ridiculous in some ways. So, anyways, Bruce Dickinson has clarified some of his comments that he's made about Iron Maiden and phone calls. So there you go. Metal Shop host Charlie Kendall. Oh my God, I remember the Metal Shop show. It was like a syndicated radio show. Wasn't that back in the late 80s or early 90s, the Metal Shop with Charlie Kendall? Charlie Kendall had a great voice. How old is Charlie Kendall now? Let's see if there's a Wikipedia page for Charlie Kendall, man, because that guy has been around. Let's see, Charlie Kendall. Nope, that's some guy who plays football over in Europe. Nope, I don't seem to find anything. So, but yeah, Charlie Kendall, the Metal Shop. That is crazy, man. I bet you this guy's probably got to be in his 70s as well. So I remember that show. That's super cool. Anyways, Bruce Dickinson was on the Metal Shop with Charlie Kendall and was asked about putting away the phone is it basically a requirement of Iron Maiden shows? And his answer was no. It's not a requirement. It's a request. It's a polite request. So I applaud bands that are asking fans to do this, because it's just ridiculous. When I'm watching YouTube videos of live stuff of Maiden, oh wait. And seeing all those fans holding up their phones, just filling up spaces, probably paying Apple or Google for cloud storage of stuff they're never going to watch again. It's just like, what's the point of that? It's ridiculous. So I'm all for that. Ban the phone at the show. Let's bring back that process, though. When the ballads come out, there's no more lighters, of course. Can you get a lighter into a concert anymore? Has anyone tried to do that? Obviously, people doing the puff, 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 puff. I get it. The Mary Jane, as they say, back in the 70s. But I'm guessing you can still probably bring a lighter in, because I know with increased security, a lighter, but I've never carried a lighter, so I wouldn't know. So there you go. Hey, Estes, thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. There you go. Yeah, Rockline was also great. Beat After Beat mentions Rockline with Bob Coburn, baby. And then the Metal Shop with Charlie Kendall. I should try to find some old Metal Shop shows, because I want to hear what Charlie Kendall sounds like back then. And I kind of want to hear what he sounds like now, because he always had a great voice, if I remember. So there you go. That's the Maiden news. Hey, you want a free Metallica t-shirt? All you got to do is sign up with the Red Cross. They're doing a blood drive across the U.S. starting yesterday through February 28th. And while supplies last, there is a free Metallica shirt that comes along if you donate blood or platelets. That's pretty good. That's pretty sweet. The back of the shirt, what does the back of the shirt say? A sea of hearts beat as one unified. And then there's like a little Metallica logo on the front, and they're actually also giving away the guitar that's right over there. Where's my hand? I can't get, there's my hand right over there. They're giving away that guitar, kind of a one-off guitar with a specific design, and you can kind of see what the front of the t-shirt looks like there on the left side of the guitar. So yeah, very good. Very nice of Metallica to do something sexy and make it very nice. Oh, Beat After Beat says his first concert, and see, that beats mine, and no pun intended there. Sorry. His first concert was Twisted Sister opening for Iron Maiden on the Power Slave tour. Yeah, that's pretty good. Mine was Night Ranger at the Minnesota State Fair. Hey, Night Ranger's a cool band, man. They're still a cool band to this day, but I know they're not Maiden. And though I would take Night Ranger over Twisted Sister. There's some Twisted Sister I like, but I could take or leave D. Schneider. I never know how to say that name, but I could take Twisted Sister over. Not that I don't like Twisted Sister. I mean, good band. I always like it when they reform and go back out on the road. Obviously they've lost one of their members, so that's unfortunate. So there you go. A reminder, if you got a great vinyl collection or cassette collection or any kind of music memorabilia collection, you want to hang out, join the show, shoot me an email, tc@rockthistownrecords.com. We'll arrange a time to talk. I know I'm trying to set up something right now with Terry and Sandy and Richard. So that's potentially on tap here on the big show. All right. Top 6 Ozzy albums. Obviously, I want to round out the Ozzy coverage with my top 6 Ozzy records. Oh, by the way, my vinyl of the day today is a vinyl from Ozzy as well. See if you can figure it out from the back cover. There you go. It did not make the list, ironically, though. That's an OG copy that Jen and I have. Number 5, I've got No Rest for the Wicked. Crazy Babies, Miracle Man. This is the first record with Zakk Wylde. I love it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. In some ways, I don't think Ozzy records are, I think Ozzy's maybe best record is, all due respect, is Memoirs of a Madman. Even though there's some deep tracks on there, I'd love that if they'd add it. But I think that Ozzy records, let's just say, I don't think Ozzy records were all killer, no filler. I think some of it was killer, but some of it was also filler. That's just my personal opinion. I get it. It is what it is. I know I might be burning some bridges there, but I still think that some of the records were, it's like Kiss records. I would say the same thing about Kiss. Some of those records, some of those tracks, some filler, some killer, some filler on those records. But then you look at an album like Pyromania, that is my wheelhouse. That is all killer, no filler, in my humble opinion. So, but in the big scheme of things, Ozzy Is Ozzy a bigger artist than Def Leppard? Yeah, of course. Ozzy's a bigger artist than Def Leppard. But anyways, Ultimate Sin, same thing. I mean, I love Lightning Strikes. That's a great track. Ultimate Sin, the title track. And then, of course, Shot in the Dark is on there as well. Beautiful. Osmosis. I've really gotten into Osmosis. If you would have asked me 3 weeks ago, I would have probably never put Osmosis on this list. And I know it's more of a commercial sounding record, but I love it. So let me know if you got a favorite or a top 5 Ozzy list and you want to leave it in the chat or as a comment because I'm always interested in hearing. I'm also including Black Sabbath stuff in here. And I went with Reunion at number 3 because, like I said earlier in the show, the 70s production of records just wasn't my cup of tea. It wasn't until the 80s came along when the production kind of stepped up. And I know some people don't like that. Some people do. I love it myself. So the fact that I can get a bunch of Black Sabbath live, and I love live records. So I'm putting Reunion from Black Sabbath as number 3 on my top 6 Ozzy records. So there you go. Number 2, Bark at the Moon. Come on, more Jakey Lee. And the title track is just, I would say, let's see. Am I going to, yes, that is the best Ozzy song ever recorded. And I know Over the Mountain by Randy Rhoads is fantastic. The first record has got some great stuff. The Zakk Wylde stuff is amazing. But to me, Bark at the Moon, the guitar playing on that is incendiary. I always talk about Warren DeMartini being incendiary. Well, Jakey Lee had a chance to be in Rat, ironically, and ended up taking the Ozzy job. And he might have been in Rat, I think, in an early incarnation of Rat, ironically. So there you go. But yeah, Bark at the Moon, number 2. And then I know it's commercial, but No More Tears, Mama, I'm Coming Home, especially right now. To me, that is kind of the best Ozzy record, probably because of Mama, I'm Coming Home. No More Tears is great as well. And then there's some other song I'm forgetting on there that's super, super good as well. So there you go. Beat After Beat did guess that, yes, this was a Diary of a Madman. And I'm gonna showcase that here in just 2 shakes of a lamb's tail after we get through some new vinyl announcements and then some new tour announcements. So that's what we do on the show. We're talking rock. We're talking everything kind of rock and heavy music, as Ozzy would say. I'm embracing the Ozzy there. So there you go. I'm sorry, Estes, that Kiss and Ozzy are your favorites. Not that I'm sorry that they're 2 of your favorites, just that I was kind of not really taking a shot at them. I'm just trying to be honest. And sometimes that'll get you in trouble. But, you know, I love Ozzy. I love Kiss. I was just listening to Psycho Circus the other day. Love that. Love that song. And most of the album is pretty good, too. But like I said, there you go. Very nice. All right. And then, yeah, Speak of the Devil is great, too. But that's kind of all Black Sabbath. And I get that with Brad Gillis. But if I'm going to listen to Black Sabbath, I want Tony, Geezer, and Bill on the Reunion record rather than Ozzy and Brad Gillis and the other guys in the band. So there you go. Tomorrow I'm going to do top 5 Pink Floyd albums. So if you've got a top 5 for Pink Floyd, you can come up with a list in the meantime for tomorrow. And yeah, we'll go from there. So, all right, new vinyl announcements today. Well, this wasn't announced today. It was announced a couple of, maybe about a month ago, but I want to feature it because I know I'm all about rock and metal and stuff like that, but I love me some 80s pop. I love the new wave stuff. In Excess, some U2, Duran Duran is fantastic. This is Duran Duran Greatest being pressed on vinyl for the first time ever, coming out. When does this come out? This comes out October 24th. Be about $35. It's a 2 LP. And, you know, you're getting the greatest hits, you know, stuff like Rio and the Reflex. And the Reflex is the Nile Rodgers mix. So you're getting the radio and the video mix, not the original song version that's on 7 in the Ragged Tiger, which is slightly different. The remix is definitely much better. And it's the one everybody knows. Plus, on this one, you're getting Ordinary World and Come Undone, which were 2 of the biggest songs from the Wedding album, which has never been reissued. And if you want to find a decent copy of that, yeah, it's going to set you back $400, $500 because it was just never pressed that much. So there you go. Cool. I'm glad we're cool, Estes. I appreciate that. All right. What else is going on? Oh, here's something that was announced. If you're a fan of Live, there you go. This is, I believe, their fifth record. Yeah, it is their fifth record. Originally released back in 1999. It's going to be pressed as a 2 LP on opaque two-color red apple and orange vinyl. So very cool. I know we sold a lot of Live records, meaning the band Live, when we were doing the live show and when we had the record store. It was very cool. They're a very cool band. I think they're underrated. I think it's just got the weirdest name ever too, because it's Live. Hey, you gonna go see Live? What? What are you talking about? Live. Have you ever seen Live? Yeah, I've seen shows live. I've gone to concerts. No. The band Live. Just like I always said, if I ever made a movie, I would call it non-smoking. So when people go up to the theater, two for non-smoking. I know it's stupid, but anyways, there you go. All right, what else is going on? Oh, the Melvins getting a reissue. These are vinyl reissues coming out September 26th. A couple of records, including Everybody Loves Sausages. Right. It's going to be on jade vinyl, one of them, gatefold, dress sleeves, and marketing stickers. Wait, I didn't update the text on that. So this still says, oops, hang on a second. Let me hide that. Boom. All right, cool. I forgot to update the text in the lower third there, but it turns out I didn't even want any text there. So yeah, it's Freak Puke, Everybody Loves Sausages, and Colossus of Destiny. That comes out September 26th. Oh, by the way, the live record is releasing September 5th for about $38 on that one. These are going to range from about $25 to $35, depending on if you want the color version, which is more expensive, or just the black version of the record. So I couldn't name a Melvin song if I tried. I had an uncle named Melvin. Does that count for something? So there you go. Cool. What else is going on? Oh, and another announcement, audiophile vinyl series from Rhino. And this is Tango in the Night, one of the better Fleetwood Mac records. I would say their best three are probably the self-titled, and then obviously Rumors, and then probably Tango in the Night, in my humble opinion. The Lacquers have been cut from the original analog tapes for the first time ever. So there you go. Welcome to 2025. After what this album come out, 87, I believe that record came out. So there you go. Very nice. Hey, Ivor. Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. I had a friend that performed as Nosmo King. Is that a Melvin's reference? I have no idea. Right over my head, buddy boy, right over my head. A reminder, make sure you check out the show on YouTube. Of course, if you missed the show, you can always, because we're live, you can always rewatch it on YouTube. And then you can also check out the podcast on Spotify or Apple or whatever else you use for podcasts. So not too shabby, right? Yeah, not too shabby. And then make sure you head over to YouTube and subscribe to the show, because that would be amazing. And I would say thank you. Thank you very much. Very nice. All right. Some tour announcements today. I mean, not really a tour. Well, I guess this is a tour, because you're going from Los Angeles to Illinois and then to New York. So John Bush has announced that he's going to be celebrating his 3 albums that he did with Anthrax. I was actually listening to Anthrax today. I had a double shot going of Duran Duran and Anthrax, because I like good music, and Duran Duran is great. I love Anthrax. So I was mixing it up between like Madhouse and then Rio, and then I'm the Man, followed by, Ordinary World, and then also mixing in a little Bring the Noise with another Duran Duran. Oh, New Moon on Monday, which I love, which is fantastic. So, but anyways, John Bush, who did 3 albums with our friends in Anthrax, Sound of White Noise, Stomp 442, and Volume 8. I can't even read that. The Threat is Real. Oh, yeah, that's what it is. I think it was 3 records he did with them. He's going to be doing the songs of Anthrax, since obviously he's no longer in Anthrax, because Joey Tempest, not Joey Tempest, Joey Belladonna, Joey Tempest. And imagine Joey Tempest from Europe and Anthrax, if they like woke up. It was like what were those 3 movies that came out in the late 80s? There was Like Father, Like Son, Dudley Moore, and that was Dudley Moore and Kirk Cameron. Fred Savage and Judd Judge Reinhold and vice versa. And then, of course, Big with Tom Hanks, where he kind of goes back. Wasn't really a role reverse, but can you imagine Joey Tempest and Joey Belladonna switching spots? It might be kind of fun. Might be kind of fun. Scott Ian would probably get a kick out of it. So would John Norm. So there you go. That is, he's, what is that? In December, John Bush hitting the road for doing the songs of Anthrax. So that's pretty cool in my humble opinion. Very nice. David Byrne is doing a tour. He's doing a big tour, including multiple nights in the same cities, a lot of multiple nights. Now, this is probably in smaller venues, keep in mind, because it's not the Talking Heads, though half of his set is the Talking Heads. That's what you got to learn if you're young. Always be the singer in a band. Always be the singer, because if you're not the singer, it's like Joe Pesci and Lethal Weapon 2. They F you at the drive-thru. They F you 7 Ways to Sunday. The lead singer's going to F you, and he's going to go out on his own. He's going to sing the songs. Like John Bush can go out after Anthrax, his career in Anthrax is ended. He can still do some stuff that he did before. Now, if you're the guitarist in Anthrax that filled in for 3 albums or something, you're like, yeah, good luck getting anybody to show up for that. Nobody's going to show up, unfortunately, unless you're a big name or something, say like a Steve Vai, who was like in Whitesnake or something. Though nobody's showing up to see Steve Vai do Whitesnake songs, right? They're showing up to do, well, probably Diamond Dave songs and then his own catalog. So, but anyways, David Byrne, I wish the Talking Heads would have gotten back together. It would have been amazing. I know that they were rumored to, I think they were offered like $10 million for one of the festivals last year, and they turned it down or they said no. So it's like, come on, man, David, put it aside. They came together for the 40th anniversary of Stop Making Sense, which is one of the great live albums of all time. In fact, I should do that list eventually, since that is fantastic. Estes mentions that he saw Anthrax with Volbeat in Spokane. That's pretty cool. I love Volbeat. I've just gotten into Volbeat probably in the last 3 or 4 years. That was one of the bands I discovered in the record store. I discovered System of a Down. I discovered Pink Floyd. You're going to laugh, but I mean, I never listened to Pink Floyd because it's just like, it was like 70s music. It was like, but it's actually really good. And then Volbeat was one of the other bands I discovered. So very cool. Warrant, Lita Ford, and Firehouse doing some tour dates as well. It just got announced. They're doing Ohio, Indiana, and Lafayette. We are here. So a couple of dates in Indiana. So probably a pretty good bill there, right? Warrant, obviously there's no Janie Lane anymore, but Lita Ford, you still get Janie Lane. And then, you still get Lita Ford. And then Firehouse, well, there's no more CJ Snare. So the bands, it's amazing. I guess a lot of lead singers have passed away. I was thinking, why is it that bands from the 2000s, like you see, like I saw like this Slayer, even though Slayer's not really 2000s band, like Avenged Sevenfold, Shine Down. I saw this concert poster from like 2000. Some band had posted, they said Good Times. And I'm just like, all these bands are still out there and touring. But a lot of 80s bands and a lot of 90s bands, I think it's 80s was dysfunction where these bands could just not keep it together. And then in the 90s, obviously, we've seen a lot of bands kind of go by the wayside a little bit because of the death of their lead singer. Example, Nirvana. And you've got, of course, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Stone Temple Pilots, bands like that. So it's kind of frustrating as a rock fan that that's something that happens. And I get it, and a lot of these bands, I think, I don't know what brings someone to end their life, since a number of these lead singers, not maybe in this particular case, of course, but with the 90s bands, a lot of those lead singers chose to end their life, like Chester Bennington as well. And it's just like, is it like, maybe we're not as popular, but I mean, look at like Def Leppard back in 96, or in 2000 and 99, they're playing like 1,500 club seats and stuff. And then, you give it 20 years and they're back in stadiums. I think that's the same for a lot of these bands, man. Their popularity starts to wane just because people go through changes, but then eventually everything comes back and they want to kind of, relive the past, and boom, all of a sudden, some of these bands become stadium bands like System of a Down. I'm sure System of a Down had a little bit of a down period, but now, boom, there you go. Yeah, I mean, being in a band is a hard life. Then you got to deal with, obviously, the other members of the band, and that can be challenging as well because, we've all worked with people that are just like, oh God, and unless you run the business yourself, and I've been lucky to do that for whatever 25 plus years, you know, you can get rid of the people you don't want to work with. Like I saw this quote from Charlie Munger, which was Warren Buffett's right-hand man. He says, the one thing I've learned over the years is get rid of the people you don't want to work with because, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. That's why we had such an amazing team at Rock This Town Records. So there you go. Not that we really got rid of anybody, but we just hired the right people, I suppose. So there you go. Yeah, Quiet Riot, only one member of their band originally left, Rudy Sarzo. Of course, Frankie Banali has passed away, the drummer. Kevin Dubrow passed away. And then Carlos Cavazo is out there playing with Stephen Pearcy and Warren DeMartini and Rat. So go figure. It's funny to see like Rat and Quiet Riot on the same bill. And then Carlos Cavazo plays with Rat, but doesn't play with Quiet Riot. Or Slaughter and Rat on the same bill. And Blas Elias, the drummer in Slaughter, plays with Rat and doesn't play with Slaughter. So it's like, whoa. Minds are a crazy thing to waste. Finally, as far as concert announcements, Cruise to the Edge is one of these kind of progressive rock cruises. There's a lot of cruises out there. Jen and I went on a cruise once. Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea. Anyways, have you watched that Netflix documentary about the poop cruise? That kind of sums up cruises in some ways. Then we just watched this another documentary on Netflix about what happened to, I forget the young lady's name, who disappeared on a cruise. And that was just a terrible documentary because it was just clickbait documentary, unfortunately. And this poor woman lost her life potentially, and the documentary was kind of shite. It was shite with a bunch of clickbait. They take you down this lane. Oh, it's probably this and this, and then okay, well, I can punch a lot of holes in that theory. Oh, never mind. We're gonna go down another road now. I hate documentaries like that. It's just terrible. But anyways, Cruise to the Edge 2026 was announced. Marillion is the headliner. Remember the song Kaylee? They weren't that big of a band here in the U.S., but definitely a bigger band in Europe, which obviously draws a lot of Europeans to cruises. So only makes sense. Steve Hackett's on the bill as well. Big Train? Don't know. Eddie Jorbson? Don't know. Symphony X, I think I've heard of Symphony X, or maybe it's Racer X I'm thinking of with Paul Gilbert. And then, let's see, Queensryche. Okay. So Marillion and Queensryche I'm going to see. Wishbone Ash I've definitely heard of. They're an older band, and that's about it. So there you guys. If you're into kind of more of progressive rock music, then boom. March 4th through the 9th in they poured out of Miami, Key West, then Nassau. So not too shabby. So there you go. All right, cool. I'd ask if you're digging the show, make sure you smash the like button. That means a lot to me. It does mean a lot. I promise you it does. And then if you want to tell friends or family about the show, that would be amazing. This is Jerry the dog. Of course, we saw Jerry the parrot and we saw Jerry the giraffe earlier. I don't know why I put these animals in the images, but I did because I'm loco. They're all named Jerry. Have they ever been seen in the same place at the same time? They haven't. So there you go. All right, cool. All right, let me, my vinyl of the day. This is an OG copy. Check it out. I would say the vinyl itself is in excellent condition, very nice condition. Well, not very nice. It is excellent condition, near mint, they'd call it. And then the jacket itself, this is an OG copy that Jen and I paid $30 for. It's probably a $60 record these days, given that Ozzy just passed. It might be a little more expensive, but it is an OG record on the CBS label Jet Records, if you remember Jet Records back in the day. As far as the jacket goes, there's a few little creases that are noticeable on the front and the back, but nothing that I'd get my panties in a bind about. So I think I'm cool there. Well, maybe not for saying that last thing, but other than that, I'm pretty cool. So anyways, Diary of a Madman. So I didn't put that on my top 6 Ozzy list, ironically, though I will say Over the Mountain. That is an amazing song. The way that song starts, that is just epic. Randy Rhoads is wow on that one. Of course, the other big song on this one was Flying High Again, which I could take or leave. It's a great song, but it's nothing that I'd add to probably like a playlist. I would add Over the Mountain to a playlist because that gets you going all the time. So there you go. That is my vinyl of the day. Do you have this record in your collection? If you do, cool. If you don't, well, then, I understand. So there you go. All right, let me go to the chat, see what's going on. Kind of a quieter chat tonight, but I do appreciate Estes hanging out with us. And hey, Paula, good to see you. Now, if Jeff Tate was on the cruise, I'd be there. You know that Jeff Tate, Paula, I found this out from, was it Chad, who lives down in Phoenix, that Jeff Tate has a travel agency and he goes on tour, quote unquote, with you. So like Chad and his wife, I believe just earlier this summer, went to Italy with Jeff Tate. Not a bad way to travel, I guess. Travel with one of the legendary vocalists of the 80s and the 90s, in my humble opinion. So there you go. Ivor, Hackett, Symphony X, and Adrian Belew would be worthwhile, but I have no desire for a cruise. I concur with you indubitably, Ivor. My cruise was just, Jen and I were sick on the cruise because we flew from Phoenix to Minneapolis for Thanksgiving. Jen ended up getting sick there. Obviously, we're going from not the hottest temperatures in November in Phoenix. It's probably 80, 75, 80 degrees still here. And then to Minneapolis where it's cold. And we flew down to Miami where you get the humidity. And then we took a 6-day cruise and we were basically both sick as a dog on the whole cruise. And the guy we went with talked us into not getting a balcony. And it was like claustrophobia for Jennifer. Oh, what a nightmare. Anyways, but then on the way back, some guy vomited going up the aisle to go to the bathroom all over a bunch of people in rows 15, 16, and 17. Thankfully, Jen and I had I had the fortitude, not the fortitude, but the, what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word for some reason. Senility setting in, I tell you. But I had the brilliant idea to say, we have just traveled from Minneapolis from Phoenix to Minneapolis and then down to Miami and then on a cruise and then back to Miami. And then now we need to fly 5.5 hours from Miami back to Phoenix. So I said, we're upgrading the flight home to first class. So we were like in the third row. So we didn't get vomited on by the guy coming up the aisle. Ironically, I happened to be standing waiting to use the bathroom when the guy's coming up with the vomit in his hands. Yeah. So that was kind of the capper to an awesome cruise. There you go. Forethought. Thank you, Ivor. See, Ivor, senility has not set in for you. You got that going for you. For me, apparently it has. What else did I miss? I heard Dean Schneider of Twisted Sister is a good solo. You mean, Dee Schneider. Okay, I see. There you go. Dee Schneider of Twisted Sister is good. So yeah, I've heard Dee does an amazing job. And of course, he went before the PMRC back in 85 was that, when Tipper Gore was doing her thing. And yeah, it was like, yeah, Dee, you tell him, man. Tell him, Steve Dave. Exactly. So very nice. All right. Anything else that I want to mention that I might have missed? Yeah, Rudy Sarzo definitely plays bass in Quiet Riot. He had been out of Quiet Riot for such a long time, of course. Ozzy, we talk about the guitarists that Ozzy had, like Randy Rhoads, Joe Holmes, Zakk Wylde, Jake Lee, but he's had some great bass players too. Mike Inez played in Ozzy's band. Robert Trujillo of Metallica now played in Ozzy's band. Rudy Sarzo played in Ozzy's band. So some really great bassists there. So Paul says maybe I won't try and cruise. The food was actually great on the cruise. It was like non-salty. It was like very much European food. You know, they say that American food has been kind of tainted by the companies, you know, like the cigarette companies, when they saw the writing on the wall that cigarettes were going to be kind of persona non grata, they started buying food companies and made the ingredients more addictive for us. And apparently, so the list of ingredients in many things in the US versus in Europe is completely different. There's a lot less chemicals. There's a lot less, you know, addictive substances that are put in the food there. So as a result, when you're on the cruise, it's just like, my God, this food is amazing. It's tremendous. Even if it was like a middling cruise, not like one of these high-end cruises where you're paying 20 grand for a cruise and you're getting steak tartare every night or something. You know, we're talking about just good food, you know, that you're eating, whether it's like chicken or whatever, you know, steak, whatever. But yeah, it was so much better. And then Jen and I on the way home from the airport after we landed in Phoenix, let's stop and get some Del Taco. And oh my God, the salt level in those tacos were like, holy crap. Where did all this salt came from? Because we weren't used to having so much salt and all the other ingredients. So anyways, there you go. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you hanging out with me. Of course, we're here every Monday through Friday. If you missed the show, you can rewind, watch on YouTube, or watch it anytime you want on YouTube. You can also find the podcast on that wonderful platform they call Spotify and Apple Music, or well, Apple Podcasts, I guess it is, and then other platforms of your choice. So tomorrow I'm doing top 5 Pink Floyd albums. I guarantee you there's going to be 2 live records in there as well, because I love live Pink Floyd. They're going to be number 1 and 2. I predict it. That's why I'm kind of excited for this not Roger Waters, the David Gilmour live show from his most recent tour. They're doing a live record. It's kind of a box set. Well, it is a box set of 4 LP, and it is $130, and that comes out, I think, in October. I was talking about it yesterday on yesterday's show, so I'm excited for that. So because since I've become a big fan of Pink Floyd live, you know, Delicate Sound of Thunder, is it going to be number 1? You're darn tootin', it's going to be number 1. So if you got a list and you want to write one up and mention it on the show tomorrow, I'd love that. Cool. Thanks for hanging out. Have yourself a wonderful